moment because I thought that their line had a lot of really good cycling tonight. That they were able, like, one of the problems with the Leafs and this is not even a this year problem, it's a year over year problem, is it feels like their offense is oftentimes one and done. And that it's just like, okay, they got their opportunity or they held on to it too long and tried to create something too great. They didn't get a puck towards the net. And all of a sudden the puck is out and it feels like they didn't accomplish too much. I thought tonight it felt as though the attack from the first line was layered, that they were able to possess the puck for long periods of their shifts. Marner was creating and doing his, like, I'm playing the game at my pace with his night. I thought Matthews was around it for a lot of the evening. He ends up scoring a goal on the power play, which desperately needed one because they had gone one of their last 11. And I think that this was a story that was starting to spark back up because they tried the 5 forwards. They gave up a bunch of shots against. Savard pulled the plug on it. And since then, it has also not felt dangerous whatsoever. And it felt dangerous again tonight. So I think that Matthews did a lot of good, but ultimately, they don't finish their chances against a goaltender who didn't have a win coming into tonight and who has been god awful. And McKee went to the Detroit game with some fans who are Red Wings guys. And last night we, went to a Generals game. We're sitting with them. We're talking about what's going to happen tomorrow night. And I thought the Leafs were going to break out of their slump offensively because Husso has been so awful. And these guys who are Red Wings fans, diehards, are like, well, we're not going to win because Husso is one of the worst goalies in the league. And here he was making big saves against them. And just it wasn't a good results, but I thought the process was solid for most of the night.
Yeah, like I get a post-game thing from Sport Logic that just has X amount of categories of stats, and one of them is just puck in the ozone time, the world's most basic stat. And the Leafs have been on the wrong side of that 8 out of every 10 games, certainly 8 of the last 10 games. Tonight, puck and OZ time at even strength only was 23-11 for the Leafs, 16 minutes for Detroit. So they're 7 minutes better at even strength. Yeah. That's a tough game to take in a straight up regulation loss in.
Well, it's weird because they've recently won a bunch of games that they shouldn't have won. And it felt like the hockey gods went, enough of that.
You owe us a couple. You're in debt.
Like, if you're only going to score 2 goals, you're not going to win 2-1. You're not going to win 3-2 in overtime. You've got to find a way to get that extra one. And they just were not able to get it. And part of it too is, like, again, they're not drawing enough power plays. They're at the bottom of the league yet again this season. So it does exacerbate the problem where you go, okay, it strings over a course of games where you go, all right, they're one of their last 11 now, 2 of their last 12.
Yeah.
But I was thinking when they said that stat tonight, well, how many games is that over? Like,
2 of the last 12. Yeah, you're right. So over 8 games or something.
Yeah, it's like it makes it feel as though the problem builds greater than it needs to be because they're just not getting enough opportunities. It's like, who's drawing the penalties too oftentimes? It's like Pontus Holmberg feels like he draws a ton of penalties for this team. Like,
he does. He's first on the team.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like the big guys not drawing enough penalties, I think, is a problem. Nylander drew one tonight, though, but how did he do it? It was awesome. It was a great play where he's going towards the net. He's got Patrick Kane on him. He identifies the matchup and he just beats him, bully balls him to the middle of the ice, and they get one. But yeah, overall, I think that it's been a mixture of power play has not felt threatening enough. Waves of 5-on-5 have not felt good enough. But tonight it's again really hard to be uber critical because they were just the better team.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I thought they were the better team, and I think you would agree, is Bobby McMann being back sure helps, man.
Yep, sure did. Sure did.
Like he's a guy who has pace and size. And when you've been looking at this team going, who's going to do it? If it isn't the 4 guys or maybe Matthew Nyes, this is another option for them. And there were moments tonight where, he looked fresh. He's fast. And you're reminded that playoffs last year, they didn't have him at all. It's like, you're not sure about Stolarz' health. You're not sure about Wall's health. You never be sure about McMahon's health. Timmins has typically been a guy who you're not sure about, but tonight I thought McMahon looked really good. In particular, what do you have? 4 or 5 shots and just looked fast.
Yeah, 4 or 5 shots and 2 that were great scoring opportunities, right? Where it's the breakaway, but then also one where he's in around the net. You'd love to see him bury one of those.
Would have been nice. Would have been nice.
Would have been nice to get one into the back of the net because, again, it didn't feel as one-liney tonight, right? Or 2 lines tonight. I thought that it did feel like all 3 were having an impact, and even the 4th line had a couple of good shifts, I thought, tonight. So again, like, process versus results, you go, the process was kind of there tonight. Their goaltender actually played well, but you just those critical mistakes that they cost you. By the way, like, okay, so yeah, let's go over the couple of other ones.
Yeah.
Let's look at the final goal. So Leafs score. They make it 2-2. And yeah, it's the power play goal. It ends up clicking. It's a beautiful play by Marner, who feeds it over to Matthews. And it's like, you have often said, and I agree with you, what is the point of the power play? Like, what is the ultimate goal of the power play? Like, that still has not felt established. And there's been times where it's felt like it has been overly funneled to Matthews.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, where Marner is able to just like create space for himself and find the best shooter on the team for a goal, you go, oh, right. Like,
yeah,
that's it. They
want to find him for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But right after, what was it, like 44 seconds? It's just a puck that starts to bounce the other way on Benoit. And I guess, what did you see on this play?
Can we roll it again?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anytime you have things starting down there, one thing you want to do is get the D stopped. And I thought that forecheck wasn't awesome, but yeah, Benoit getting just straight up kind of cooked doesn't help. But Tavares in the fadeaway, he knows that he's just got to stick with his guy, right? Like, he's so eager to like, okay, now we get to go on offense. And it's like, you haven't got the puck yet. You can't just skate by Petrie there and kind of carry on. I thought Wall was pretty good all night. I wouldn't be critical of him in any way. How many do you expect the guy to make, right?
No, I'm saying
you were on Timmins a little bit tonight. You feel like he's fading off a bit?
Well, I think that it's always a tough visual when you're the guy sliding past the play and you don't make that play.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to take yourself out of it there, you kind of want to break up the puck. And so just seeing him behind the net as there's multiple Red Wings getting an opportunity to hack in a rebound, I don't think was great. He took a penalty that I think was like a little bit of a softie.
I thought it was a penalty though. Like, get your stick out of there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, where he was so mad about it. And I'm like, man, this is the other thing with the Leafs when we're talking about these like critical mistakes and why they should be criticized for tonight is you're chasing the game. You can't take bad penalties. Yeah. And so if you're Connor Timmins, you're the sixth defenseman on the team, you're not allowed to take that. When you're Mitch Marner and you almost score on a breakaway opportunity.
And you never take penalties?
Exactly. You never take a penalty and you're kind of pissed off that didn't happen. And it's like a little bit of a bad break for you where you get caught cheating a bit. Fine, whatever. You'll live with that. But when it's Connor Timmins, it just frustrates me.
That's extreme tripping. You should have got 4 minutes. That's just, to me, it's like, you can't, he doesn't even put a body on or anything. Yeah.
But that's it's like, just go with the body, like hit him.
And then the puck will keep moving and you can have it.
Yeah.
One of my core beliefs defensively is just, you need to have so much more faith in your guys, particularly like back pressure guys. And so they end up scoring on that goal where Timmins does the slide. It's not a clean 2-on-1 to me. Like, the guy with the puck is under heavy duress from your guys. Don't leave the other guy, or don't, just like have some faith that he's going to be hampered enough that between them and the goalie, you're going to get a save there. And that, to me, it's like it's trying to do too much in that instance.
Yeah, totally agreed. So yeah, we covered McMahon, we covered the mistakes, we covered the penalties. Let me see here. What else we got? Oh, I do want to just focus a little bit on Wool again, because I do think that he was very good. But this is like the first goal of the game. This is how teams score on the guy. Like, if you look at the goals against him again tonight, it's like big screen where Jeff Petrie gets one where it's puck has eyes. And I've gone over this on Leafs Talk a couple of times. That's like the Clearview analytics for Wool are showing that it's like the majority of his goals come on layered screens where it's like it's multiple players.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yes, that are blocking his eyesight from the goal. Like, when he's getting an opportunity to get a look at it, he's making those saves. The other two, it's like, again, on the turnover where he's stretching across and almost trying to make a save. And then the third one is this, where it's like he makes a save and it's a broken play where it ends up in the back of the net. Like, the guy has just been brilliant for you this year. And even in tonight, it's like you can't put any of this on the goaltender.
Would you have wanted this challenged? Do you think he's
no?
Don't think he comes back?
No, I think that it's like, again, I'm a big time like, you can't touch the goalie guy. And I feel like I call these pretty well. Like, my hit rate is solid in terms of first reaction. What is this? I think Wool reaching out as he's outside of the blue paint to feel him. It's like, if you call that, then like shut down hockey, because you can't be the one to initiate it. Where's the player supposed to stand? You still have to be able to screen these guys. They're so good. It's the most effective way to score. Like, yeah, can't have that one called off. I'm actually glad
I think
they didn't
it's
challenge
not
him.
it gets called back. I think it does get called back if he doesn't. He's actively aware of the contact. He's making it. He's not trying to avoid it. He's participating in the contact.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's the one who reaches out first, puts him around. Then it's like, I actually think that if he doesn't do that, he might have a better shot at making the save. Like if there's anything to be critical of him on that play, it's, hey, if you don't feel out with that glove, maybe you're tracking the puck a little bit more instead of looking kind of in your peripherals at where the forward is.
Right. And if the guy does come into the crease and interfere with you, then it's legitimate interference and we can deal with that then, but just trust that he's not going to. And yeah, but you're right. I just thought tonight he had a lot of awkward and tough saves, and I thought he was really good. Not a word of criticism from on Wall for me tonight. So
nope, totally agree.
Yeah.
And I see people, like, we got some people apparently in the chat who are talking about what his number would be if he's able to stay healthy. I still think the point of curiosity for me over this next stretch without Stolars is going to be like, how much do you actually play him? Right? Like,
yeah,
these guys have been going in a split. He has not had a heavy workload. You don't really want him to have a heavy workload. Obviously, they're going to give Hildeby the back-to-back here tomorrow night. But yeah, is there going to be a game, say, I don't think it'll happen next week, but will there be a game during the schedule here where it's condensed before the Christmas break that the Leafs decide to give one of these goaltenders a non-second half of a back-to-back night in order to ensure that Woll does stay fresh, does stay healthy, and doesn't start to look worn down?
I'm torn on this.
The Toronto Maple Leafs may be taking a new approach to salary management, which could directly impact Mitch Marner's contract negotiations. During Kyle Dubas' tenure as general manager, the team didn't hesitate to spend heavily, and this trend began with a 6-year extension signed by Marner in 2019. At the time, Marner's $10.9 million annual cap hit set the market for superstar wingers, surpassing comparable players like Mikko Rantanen of the Colorado Avalanche, who signed a 6-year deal with a $9.25 million annual cap hit. Now, however, times seem to be changing. TSN's Pierre Lebrun recently reported that the Maple Leafs have implemented an internal salary cap, aiming to ensure no player earns more than captain Austin Matthews, who signed a 4-year extension worth $13.25 million per season in August 2023. The team's primary concern revolves around Marner's agent, Darren Ferris, who, according to Lebrun, might push for a percentage of the total salary cap instead of a fixed dollar amount. This could result in Marner's cap hit exceeding Matthews' $13.25 million, conflicting with the Leafs' new financial strategy. Ferris is known for driving negotiations to the limit, often taking his clients to free agency. This raises fears that discussions between Marner and the Leafs could drag on until July 1st, giving Marner and his camp all the leverage in negotiations. Another complicating factor is the rising market. Lebrun noted that Mikko Rantanen believes he could secure $14 million per season as a free agent. This sparks the question, could Marner demand even more? And would Ferris take that gamble, knowing the Leafs might opt to move on and sign another player? Marner has made it clear on multiple occasions that Toronto is where he wants to be. As a local player with deep ties to the city, he's expressed his desire to spend his entire career wearing the blue and white of the Leafs. However, staying with the team may require him to accept less than market value, especially if the front office remains committed to its new salary structure. Such a sacrifice could be vital for the team's collective success and to avoid financial issues that have plagued the recent past. While negotiations are still in the early stages, it's evident that Marner's future with the Leafs is at stake. Maple Leafs fans may need to prepare for the possibility of significant changes, but they can also trust in the player's commitment to the city and the franchise to find a compromise. The Maple Leafs' decision to implement an internal salary cap reflects a broader shift in their team-building philosophy. After years of prioritizing top-end talent with hefty contracts, the organization appears determined to strike a balance between superstar contracts and depth throughout the roster. This strategy aims to avoid the pitfalls of past seasons, where a lack of financial flexibility often left the team vulnerable in critical playoff moments. For Mitch Marner, this shift creates a unique challenge. On one hand, his value to the Leafs is undeniable. A consistent top scorer and elite playmaker, Marner has been instrumental in driving the team's offense. On the other hand, his ability to command a salary that rivals or exceeds Austin Matthews could put the Leafs in a difficult position, especially with a potential need to strengthen other areas of the roster. As the 2023-24 season progresses, the Leafs must weigh the potential consequences of sticking to their cap philosophy. Losing a homegrown talent like Marner would undoubtedly sting for fans and the organization alike. However, allowing one player to dictate financial terms beyond the team's structure could hinder long-term success and force painful sacrifices elsewhere. Adding to the complexity is the looming free agency of William Nylander. If the Leafs are to stick to their internal salary cap, they may also face challenges in retaining Nylander, who could command a significant raise. Balancing contracts for both Marner and Nylander within the new framework could prove to be the ultimate test for Toronto's management team. Another factor at play is the team's ultimate goal, winning the Stanley Cup. While star players like Marner and Matthews are crucial, history has shown that depth and balanced rosters often prevail in the postseason. If the Leafs fail to manage their finances effectively, they risk falling short of building a championship-caliber team, even with elite talent. For Marner, the decision to stay with the Leafs might come down to more than just dollars. His connection to the city, the fans, and his teammates could be deciding factors. If he prioritizes legacy and loyalty over maximizing earnings, there's a strong possibility that he'll work with the team to find a deal that benefits both parties. Negotiations will also test Darren Ferris, known for his hardline tactics in securing lucrative deals for his clients. While pushing for top dollar is expected, Ferris may need to weigh the risks of alienating the Leafs management and fanbase. A prolonged stalemate could damage Marner's relationship with the team and its supporters. The Leafs management, led by general manager Brad Treliving, faces a pivotal moment. Treliving's reputation as a negotiator and team builder will be on full display as he navigates this high-stakes scenario. Striking the right balance could solidify his tenure in Toronto, while a misstep might set the team back for years. For Maple Leafs fans, the coming months will be filled with anticipation and uncertainty. Marner's future, along with the team's ability to stay competitive under financial constraints, will likely dominate conversations as the season unfolds. Supporters can only hope that the team's new approach leads to greater playoff success and, ultimately, the elusive championship. In the end, the outcome of these negotiations could redefine the Maple Leafs' identity for years to come. Whether it results in retaining Marner or reshaping the roster, the team's commitment to an internal salary cap signals a clear focus on long-term sustainability. Fans will be watching closely, hoping for a resolution that keeps the team's core intact and their championship dreams alive. As the negotiations with Mitch Marner progress, another layer of complexity is added by the external competition in the NHL market. Teams with more cap space and fewer restrictions could easily present lucrative offers to Marner if he reaches free agency. The Leafs are not only negotiating with Marner but also indirectly competing with other franchises willing to outbid them for his services. One example of this is Mikko Rantanen, whose potential $14 million value on the open market highlights the growing demand for elite wingers. If Rantanen secures such a deal, it could set a precedent that Marner's camp would use as leverage. The Leafs, however, must remain disciplined, as breaking their internal salary cap for Marner could lead to similar demands from other key players down the line. The looming specter of free agency means the Leafs have a limited window to strike a deal. If negotiations drag on into the off-season, the leverage shifts heavily in favor of Marner and his agent. Darren Ferris, known for his strategic patience, could use this to push for maximum value, putting even greater pressure on the Leafs management to make a decision. This scenario also places significant pressure on head coach Sheldon Keefe. Managing a team amid ongoing contract uncertainty can disrupt chemistry and focus. Keefe will need to ensure that the team remains united and focused on their performance, even as the media and fans speculate about Marner's future. Meanwhile, the Leafs core group, including Austin Matthews, Morgan Rielly, and John Tavares, will likely play a role in influencing Marner's decision. The camaraderie among the players and their collective drive for a championship could persuade Marner to accept a deal that aligns with the team's financial structure. On the flip side, the Leafs could explore contingency plans if a deal with Marner doesn't materialize. Trading Marner would be a bold move, but it could bring significant assets in return, potentially bolstering the team in areas like defense or secondary scoring. This option, while unpopular with fans, might be necessary to maintain roster balance. The timing of these decisions is also critical. With the trade deadline months away, the Leafs must assess whether keeping Marner without an extension risks losing him for nothing in free agency. A preemptive trade could avoid this scenario, but it would also signal a significant shift in the team's short-term goals. Fan sentiment will undoubtedly influence the team's approach. Marner is not just an exceptional player, he's a fan favorite and a symbol of homegrown talent succeeding in Toronto. Losing him could lead to backlash, especially if the team struggles in the aftermath of his departure. The broader NHL landscape also plays a role. As other teams navigate their own salary cap challenges, the Leafs can learn from their successes and failures. Organizations like the Tampa Bay Lightning and Vegas Golden Knights have shown the value of balancing star power with depth, offering a potential blueprint for Toronto's future.